Every dashcam video recorded near the county line outside Briarline, Oklahoma, contains the same mistake. A man in a reflective vest. Not the same type of man. The same one. He stands where there shouldn't be a shoulder, where there isn't even a place to stand, and he stares into the lens like he's waiting for the camera to remember him. Most people don't notice him until they leave town, and by then, they've already started losing words. I'm Marcus. This channel documents small-town cases that never make it into official records, because sometimes the record gets edited. If you're into stories that feel a little too real, subscribe. Now listen closely, because this case starts with footage, but it ends with names. Briarline is the kind of place you pass through without realizing you did. It sits in western Oklahoma, where the wind never seems to stop, and the land is so flat it feels like the sky is pressing down on it. One diner, one gas station, one church that looks permanently sun-bleached, a few streets of houses with sagging porches and plastic chairs bleached pale by years of sun. The population sign says 1,914. Locals claim it's closer to 1,200, and they say it like they're not supposed to. 7 miles south of town, an old green sign marks the edge of the county. You are now leaving Briarline County. Right past that sign is a stretch of road where radios dip into static for no reason. Not loud, not dramatic. Just a sudden soft dead channel, like something almost comes through. Locals call it the dead band. They laugh when they say it. But they don't drive it at night. In February of 2022, a woman named Kara Wynn moved to Briarline because rent was cheap and her job was remote. She wasn't chasing a dream. She was trying to breathe. The first month was normal, quiet, empty in a way that felt almost peaceful. Then one Friday, she filmed a sunset for her sister. Just a short video. Orange sky, a strip of road, wheat moving like water in the wind. Kara didn't notice anything while she recorded. The road looked empty. But when she sent the clip, her sister texted back one sentence that changed everything. "Who's that guy watching you?" Kara replayed the video. In the last 2 seconds of the clip, near the ditch line, there was a man. Reflective vest. Hard hat. Clipboard tucked under one arm. He looked like a surveyor or a road worker, someone paid to stand near the edge of things. Kara felt a quick, irrational chill. She didn't remember seeing anyone. Not even a blur. Not even a shape. She told herself it was nothing. A worker wandered into frame. End of story. 2 weeks later, a stray dog started hanging around Kara's porch. One night, she filmed a dog barking at the road. Kara laughed and swung the phone toward the yard. And there he was again. Same reflective vest. Same hard hat. Closer this time. Not in the far background. Not at the edge of the wheat. Near the start of her gravel driveway, where the road dropped into the ditch. Kara paused the video and zoomed in. The vest was crisp. The clipboard was crisp. But his face refused to sharpen, like the camera couldn't decide what to do with it. Kara went through her camera roll. He was in 7 videos she'd recorded since moving to Briarline. Not in every video, but always near roads. Always near the edge of town. Always in places your eyes naturally slide past without focusing. Like a boundary marker you don't want to stare at too long. If you're still with me, here's a small favor that actually helps. Hit like now, because the next part is where Kara realizes it isn't just her footage. It's everyone's. Kara didn't call the police. What would she say? "Hello, officer. There's a man in my videos but not in my yard." Instead, she posted a screenshot in a local Facebook group. Briarline Buy, Sell, and Trade. She kept it casual. "Has anyone seen this county worker? He keeps showing up in my videos. I never see him in person." The post got a few likes and one laughing emoji. Then a private message came in from someone named Dale Haskins. His first line was simple. "Don't post his picture in town groups. People get weird. Check your dashcam." Kara replied that she didn't have one. Dale told her to meet him at the diner before sunrise. They sat in a booth with coffee that tasted like it had been reheated too many times. Dale looked like he'd spent years learning not to trust the dark. Cracked hands. Oil field build. Eyes that didn't blink much. He slid his phone across the table. Dashcam footage. Night road. Headlights carving a tunnel through wheat fields. At the moment the truck crossed the county line sign, the radio dipped into static. And on the right shoulder there was a man in a reflective vest. Not waving. Not moving. Facing the truck like a sign. Dale tapped the screen. "I never saw him. Not once. But he's in every clip where I cross that line." Kara watched again. Frame by frame, as the truck passed, the man's head turned slightly. Not tracking, not following. Just acknowledging. Kara felt her skin tighten. "Why haven't you told anyone?" she asked. Dale stirred his coffee too hard. "I tried." My cousin laughed until he watched the footage. Then he got quiet. "Then he told me to delete it." "Did you?" Kara asked. Dale looked up. "No." Kara started asking questions around town, but she learned quickly to ask them sideways. "No. Have you seen the man in the vest?" Instead, "Do you ever get weird static near the county line? Or does your dashcam ever catch things you didn't see?" The reaction split into two types. People either laughed too fast or they went quiet and changed the subject like they'd touched something hot. A bartender at the only bar outside town told Kara, "Don't go looking for trouble. Trouble will learn your name." Kara didn't understand what that meant, not until she noticed the pattern. The man appeared more often for people who were preparing to leave. Not always permanently. Sometimes it was a trip, sometimes it was a move. A woman packing for Tulsa saw him in her doorbell footage at 3:12 in the morning, standing at the curb, facing the camera. A teenager posting a last day in Briarline video had the man in the background of 3 clips. Each time he was closer to the center of the frame, like he was drifting toward the focus point. But the lifelong residents, the ones who never left, didn't have him in their footage at all. Not once. Kara tested it. She asked an older man at the diner, Mr. Pruitt, if he'd ever seen a county survey worker near the line. Mr. Pruitt frowned. "Surveyor," he repeated, like it was a word he wasn't sure he knew. His eyes drifted toward the window. "We had 1 year ago," he said slowly. Or did we? It didn't sound like normal confusion. It sounded like something trying not to form into memory. Then Kara lost a word. Not in a dramatic way. She was on the phone with her sister, complaining about how narrow the roads felt at night. "These roads are so narrow," Kara said. No, what?" her sister asked. Kara stared at her kitchen wall. She could picture it clearly. The edge of the pavement. The drop into the grass. But the word wouldn't come. "No side part," Kara said. Her sister laughed. "You mean the shoulder." Kara forced a laugh back. "Yeah, shoulder." After she hung up, she wrote it on a sticky note and stuck it to the fridge. Shoulder. A week later, she couldn't remember her street name. She could drive home. That wasn't the issue. The name was just gone, as it had never been taught to her. She checked her lease, read it aloud. It looked correct on paper, but it felt wrong in her mouth, like borrowed speech. Then she noticed something worse. Whenever Kara tried to describe what the man was, her throat tightened. Not fear, not nerves. A physical clamp, like her voice, didn't have permission to form certain shapes. She could say man, worker, vest, clipboard, but the moment she tried to define him, her voice went thin and broke. She texted Dale, "I think it's messing with language." Dale replied, "It starts with words. Then it's names." If you've ever watched a story and thought, "This is getting under my skin," this is the part where you should share it. Not because I want numbers, because the warning lands better when it's passed from someone you trust. Kara and Dale decided to test it. They bought a cheap camera from Walmart. No smart features. No filters. No facial recognition. Nothing fancy to blame. They drove to the county line at dusk. Wind pushed the grass flat. The road was empty. No cars. No footsteps. Just the sound of fields moving. They set the camera on the hood of Dale's truck and recorded 5 minutes of nothing. Then they drove back to Kara's house. At her kitchen table, they replayed the footage. The county line sign sat in the center of the frame, and to the right, just beyond the post, the man stood perfectly still. This time, he wasn't faint. This time, he wasn't blurry. The reflective strips on his vest were sharp. The crease in his clipboard was sharp, but his face still refused to sharpen, as if the lens didn't know where to place it. Kara leaned closer and froze the frame. There was a metal tag on his vest reflecting the camera light. She zoomed in until the pixels broke apart. The tag was readable anyway. BL Survey, Section 6, Remove, Revise. Kara whispered, "Remove? Revise what?" Dale didn't answer. Because outside in Kara's driveway, Dale's truck radio clicked on by itself. Static spilled into the kitchen like it was leaking through the walls. Then, faintly, like a voice coming from far away through the weather, a few words slipped through. County line, correction, stand by. Kara stood so fast her chair scraped. Dale's face drained of color. "That's new," he said. Kara tried to anchor it to paperwork. The next day, she went to the county office and asked if survey work was planned near the county line. She kept her tone light. Road maintenance, sign replacement. Anything normal. A clerk with tired eyes and a nameplate that read S. Lund nodded like Kara hadn't said anything strange. She pulled a folder from a cabinet. Briarline County Boundary Adjustment. Pending. Kara frowned. Boundary adjustment. Every few years, somebody upstate thinks they found an error, the clerk said. Lines move on paper. Folks get mad. Then nobody talks about it. Kara opened the folder. Maps. Diagrams. Photocopies. Signatures. Then a typed page that looked like meeting minutes. March 14th, 1989. Recurring visual anomaly near the southern line. Residents report a survey man in the recordings. Recommendation. Do not document publicly. Maintain signage. Remove mention of the dead band. Kara looked up. The clerk's face changed. Confusion. Blankness. A wince, like pain behind the eyes. Where did you get that? The clerk asked. It's in the folder, Kara said. The clerk looked down at the page again. Her eyes moved over the lines. Then she inhaled sharply and pushed the folder shut. Put that away, she said. You shouldn't. Just put it away. Kara swallowed. What's happening? Kara asked. The clerk's voice dropped. People who ask questions, she said, don't stay asking. You understand. Kara didn't understand. Not fully. But she nodded anyway. The clerk slid the folder back into the cabinet and locked it. Without looking at Kara again, she said, don't record near the line. 2 nights later, Kara decided to leave. Not forever. Just to prove she could, she packed a small bag, told no one, and drove south toward the county line. As she approached the edge of town, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. You can go. You can't take it with you. Kara's throat tightened. She told herself it was a prank. The county line sign appeared in her headlights, pale green and too bright. Her radio dipped into static. Then the faint voice returned, closer now. Revision in progress. Please remain. Kara whispered no and pressed the gas. And then she saw him. He stood in the road this time, not on the shoulder. On the asphalt. Reflective vest blazing under her headlights. Hard hat tilted down. The clipboard lifted like a stop sign. Kara slammed the brakes. The car shuddered. She stared through the windshield, heart hammering. Then she blinked. The road was empty. No vest, no hat, no clipboard, just dark pavement and fields. But her dashcam chirped softly. Motion detected. Kara drove forward anyway. She crossed the sign. She crossed the dead band. Static. Then silence. She made it to the next town and sat under fluorescent lights with a coffee she didn't taste. When her hands stopped shaking, she checked the dashcam footage. At the moment she braked, the man was there. Centered in the frame, perfectly still. This time the camera decided to give her just enough. His mouth was visible. No sound, but Kara could read his lips. State your name. Kara tried to speak. Kara Wynn. But what came out was Kara W. Her last name fell apart in her throat like it didn't belong to her. Kara moved away from Briarline 2 weeks later. No goodbye party. No announcement. She left in the middle of the day. For 3 days in her new apartment, nothing happened. She felt relief, like she'd escaped something that only lived in that one place. On the 4th day, she took a selfie in her kitchen to send to her sister. Bright daylight. White cabinets. A normal life. When she looked at the photo, her stomach dropped. In the background, reflected faintly in the microwave door, a man in a reflective vest stood behind her. She zoomed in. The image blurred around him, like the phone didn't want to cooperate. But she could see the clipboard. And on it, one clear word, printed like a label. Pending. Kara opened her notes app and found the list she'd been keeping. Words she'd lost. The list was longer now. Street names. Colors that still existed in her eyes but felt unfamiliar in her mouth. She looked at the sticky note she'd brought from Briarline. Shoulder. It didn't feel like a word she owned. Kara went to the mirror and stared at herself. She taped a label to the glass. Kara. She stared until her eyes watered. Then her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. State your name. Kara's throat tightened. She realized what the clerk meant. People who ask questions don't stay asking. They get revised. They get corrected. Kara grabbed a notebook and started writing everything she could remember. Her childhood address. Her mother's laugh. The smell of her father's truck. The word shoulder. Her own name. Written again and again like she could nail it down with ink. Because somewhere beneath the slipping language, she understood the truth. If you can't name yourself, the boundary will. And whatever name it gives you won't be yours. Kara kept writing until her hand cramped. When she finally looked up, the apartment was quiet. The microwave reflected the kitchen behind her. Nothing stood there. No vest. No clipboard. But Kara didn't feel safe. Not anymore. Because she knew the worst part wasn't seeing him. The worst part was that he only needed to be seen once. After that, he didn't have to stand at the county line. He could stand anywhere a camera could remember. And one day, if Kara stopped writing, if she stopped pinning words to paper, she would wake up and stare at her own reflection, and not know what to call it. But she would still recognize the vest. She would still recognize the clipboard. And she would still see the mouth forming the same silent sentence. State your name. Subscribe if you want more Red State case files like this. Stories where the map is normal, but the border isn't. And if you've ever had your radio dip into static exactly at a county line, tell me where it happened. I read every comment.